Hey guys, it's Norm from Tested.com. I'm at a museum today. This is the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I'm here with Robert Singer. You're the curator of this fabulous exhibit we're in right now. Robert, what is this exhibit?
It's armor, it's helmets of samurai, mostly from a period of peace, 2.5 centuries of peace, from about 1600 to about 1850. And samurai wore these on procession, so it's display armor. They didn't really fight in this so much. They can fight in it, but it's very elaborate, very over the top.
Kind of costume.
Costume, it's a kind of costume. Trying to impress other samurai, other people, that they have the best taste and the most outrageous taste, and that they have the best craftsmen and artists in their area, in their fiefdom.
Because they were makers, and that's something that resonates with us, especially armor and costume, but this is actual historical armor and costume.
Yes.
I have to tell you, our friend Adam Savage has a set of samurai armor,
great.
But it's actual costume for film production.
Oh, great, so it's not real, okay.
But we want to learn about the real thing
to
appreciate what this armor. Can you give us an example of
Here's
a piece?
Complete set of armor. You have the cuirass, the chest armor that goes around the body. You have shoulder pads, which are really important to protect from arrows and even gunfire, and swords. And then you have this kind of skirt. Sometimes they have iron mesh inside of the skirt, like the piece on the other side we'll be talking about in a second. And then you have arm guards, hand guards, and armored shoes. So he's pretty well encased. It's pretty light. It's only about 40 pounds.
Oh.
Whereas a set of Western armor, looks like a tin can. It's like Wizard of Oz. That's like 100 pounds. So those in a set of Western metal armor, you can't ride on a horse. You can ride on a horse. You can't get on the horse. You can't sit down. These are very flexible. They're different parts you put together. You lace together.
What are the things that I should notice? Let's start at the top. The helmet.
The helmet. The helmet's really important. This is an old helmet from the 14th century, 15th century, and the most extraordinary thing about this piece, the face mask, is very realistic, and the dragon, this beautifully carved relief dragon on the breastplate.
And so you have the helmet that sometimes the face mask sometimes can just be a chin piece.
Chin piece. You could have a long nose, which suggests a foreigner. That was popular in the late 16th century, the 17th century. This is kind of the signature piece of the show, and then it's on the banner that's all over the city. And you see the visor is of a bird, and the little hat that's held on by that cord, that's the hat worn by a mountain Buddhist monk called a Yamabushi. What's unusual about this piece is the chest has a six-pack. You can see
even the arms.
And the arms have rippled. Yeah, muscles here. It's something I'm not familiar with, but people who exercise, they get these things. And in the hands, and even on the legs. Now, what you can't see here in this very elaborate skirt is that underneath, inside, is iron mesh, really heavy, and it would protect from bows and arrows and gunshots.
Well, still functional.
Still very functional.
Yeah, even though it was for ceremonial purposes at that point.
At that point.
Now, one of the things I noticed when looking at the different helmets and pieces, that it seems like each kind of evokes a different character or creature. Is that something that they were trying to achieve?
Well, they were looking for something that was unusual. It's a little hard to explain because you think of Japanese as being very conventional, but in this period, these were seen from horseback mostly. So it's showing off. It's like very high-end costume, and they're trying to do something unusual in this period. And there are lots of Buddhist symbols that were powerful, that protect their guardian figures. So that makes sense.
Were there differences in the armor depending on what class you were or what position you were in the army?
No, that's a great question. The more elaborate, usually the higher ranking or the wealthier the samurai.
All right, Robert, what are we looking at here?
Well, this is a very unusual set of armor because it shows traces of 2 bullets. They didn't go through, so you have indentations there. You have an arrow that did not pierce the armor, and you have a slice of a sword. So what does that mean? I mean, usually if a piece of armor is tested like that, it's tested and then the decoration, in this case dragon again, with clouds and silver and copper, go on top. But this is so obvious. We think it must be the armorer, the armor smith, testing it with a gun, and he's testing it and said, look, it's bulletproof, it's arrow-proof, it's sword-proof. It's very unusual in this period when there was no warfare to have all the signs of weaponry.
You're trying to figure out the story of this armor. Trying to figure out the story,
yeah. And we were just guessing.
Right.
We're just guessing. Now, another interesting thing about this guy is that He has the original box that he came in. He's carried in here. Those two, the handle on both sides comes up, a rod goes through, and he's carried by two porters.
So Robert, when you look at a piece of samurai armor, something that maybe you've never seen before, what are the things that you look to identify it, or the things that excite you?
The collector here, Mr. Barbier Mueller, he is like me. He's interested in the sculptural quality. So he's looking for wild, unusual helmets. He's looking for unusual designs. He's looking for strange animals.
Let's take a look at some of that strange.
On your right, this is a giant shell. It's like a scallop shell. I mean, not very martial in our. This is a sea animal. No one really knew what it was, but we have an Italian gentleman on our staff who helps install the armor, and he said we eat this for lunch in Italy. It's a moray eel, and those are actual eel teeth in there. And then it's really, it's got gold highlights. It's very fierce looking. This is not a helmet. This goes on the helmet as a decoration, and then they add this hair, this hemp, to make it look even fiercer. That's not in real life. It's just an addition to it. From the side, you can see this is a hatchet or an axe.
Yes.
It's not a battle axe. It's actually more of a functional, like a carpenter's axe or an adze, and it has a sharp edge here. This is in wood with lacquer on top. This piece that looks like it has ears doesn't. Those are bamboo leaves, and it's cut this way because swords, when they aren't tested on executed criminal human corpses, they're cut through bamboo. And we have swords in the other exhibition, which is in the Japanese pavilion, which says on the handle, it says this blade was tested successfully on 2 human corpses, 3 human corpses. These are executed criminals, and it's sliced through like butter, kind of certain. Kiriotoshi is the word. This is the eggplant, which is pretty amazing. I just love this piece. It's very whimsical. And here you have, eyebrows and an older man like, me with a furrowed forehead and the eyebrows, and then topped by this giant eggplant. It's lacquer on wood, and now why eggplant? Eggplant is an auspicious vegetable. In the new year, if you have a dream, your first dream in the new year has Mount Fuji, a hawk, and an eggplant. It's going to be a very good year. Here are the pipes, smoking pipes, both sides of the helmet. And then behind us, we have a full set of armor with what's in English called a standard. Those are feathers, pheasant feathers done in color on paper. And this basically says, I'm the most important guy in the field. I'm seated, I'm conducting the battle. It's a little counterintuitive because you don't think the most important guy wants all the arrows and the gunshots, fired at him, but he's letting everybody know he's the most important guy with this huge symbol of his rank behind him. He's actually heavily armored. Well, this is a complete set of armor acquired by a Western missionary, Presbyterian missionary in Japan over 100 years ago. And it's very unusual because it's complete. You have the stirrups, the saddle, they're in mother of pearl. This is a traveling helmet, again with a dragon, lots of dragons. And it's heavy, it's metal, not too heavy. Then you have these surcoats that go over the metal armor for warmth. And here he is in all his glory with this huge bow. The bows are enormously long. They're longer than our longbow.
Yeah.
And you hold it like this and draw it back. And it has its sword. All samurai had to have 2 swords, a short sword and a long sword. If they left the house or the encampment without both swords, they could be heavily penalized. And this is a set of children's armor with a bow and arrow. And this is a sword here, and the handle is stingray, made of stingray.
So Robert, that's amazing. This collection is amazing. Several hundred pieces spanning centuries.
Yes.
And again, thinking of it as costume, which appreciates the aesthetic attributes as opposed to armor, which celebrates the functional attributes of these pieces, of the sculptural pieces, is something truly wonderful. Thank you so much, Robert.
Thank you, Norman.